Sarah Dowie for 5 minutes.
Mr Speaker, I rise to speak on the sale and supply of alcohol, extended licensing hours during Rugby World Cup bill. And Mr Speaker, I don't know if this is the pinnacle of my career or not, but if you boil it down, it's surprising that we are debating around the concept of 30 men on a paddock wrestling over an oval ball. And depending on how you look at that, that could be a really good thing, or it could be not so good. But anyway, despite the arguments of the other side with respect to the issues of domestic violence and alcoholism, I acknowledge that. But we can't get away from the fact that rugby is our national game. And especially in the place where I hail from, Southland, rugby is used as a vehicle for socialising in a constructive way. And I think it's only fair that through this legislation, it is going to enable people to come together, to watch our national team and celebrate in their prowess on the rugby field. I understand that there are 20 teams in the World Cup. I didn't know that before. I had to Google it. As you can tell, I'm not exactly a rugby follower, but I have in the past got tied up in the important games. In fact, I do remember the last World Cup. I was pregnant at the time, really sick. That's why I remember it. But I did take the time to watch the All Blacks, and I did get very excited. It was wonderful to see them do so well, and as a New Zealander, I support them. But I think it's only fair that people are allowed to come together, and in New Zealand, pubs are one place which people do that. And I don't think necessarily that people are going to come together and get out of control. There are measures in this bill that look to minimise alcohol harm, and the member opposite has outlined some of those methods, talking about closing conditions, the call for the last round, the police who retain the right to close down premises if there is a prima facie breach of those licence terms and conditions. But regardless, it is good that people can come together and enjoy the camaraderie and watch their team. It's a bit of fun at the end of the day, but provided people keep it as a bit of fun, acknowledging that there can be some issues. So I think at the end of the day, I would rather people be in a controlled premise and be supervised when they are drinking, rather than doing things like preloading or drinking all day and all night, staying at home ready to watch the game, perhaps there. We're talking about people that will get up in the morning and go and view games at odd hours because they're passionate about the rugby and because they want to be involved in that camaraderie with their friends and absorb the atmosphere that the games will bring. And of course, the Rugby World Cup is going to be held over in England and at Twickenham, and they don't have the same hours as us. So, of course, we need to cut the red tape and allow responsible hosts and responsible premises to open their doors and allow people to come through them and watch the matches. So, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the mitigation methods in the bill. I've talked about the police retaining the right to shut down premises. That maintains, if there's a breach on the face of it, that means that the onus goes on the host. Hosts have to be responsible when they're opening their doors. They have to keep an eye on their patrons to make sure that they are being responsible, and they have to watch how much alcohol they serve. It needs to be done in a responsible manner. And in the same breath, these people need to make a personal choice and take personal responsibility as to their actions. So look, at the end of the day, rugby is our national sport, whether you love it or hate it. It's part of our culture. It's part of Southland especially. As I talked about, it's a vehicle for socialising. And at the end of the day, I just hope that everyone has a bit of fun and doesn't take it too far. So I support this bill.